The moment I saw his name on my wife's phone, my chest went cold. Not because he was some random man. Not because I was the jealous type, but because he was the same man my sister had confessed to cheating with, the same man I had cried about in front of my wife just days earlier, the same secret I had begged her not to repeat. And when I opened the messages, I realized I hadn't just been betrayed again. I had been betrayed in the ugliest way possible. My name is Daniel. My wife is Maya. We got married in the middle of 2018, and for a while I really believed I had built a normal life. Nothing flashy, just a marriage, a home, work, routines, the usual little problems people tell themselves are manageable. Then in March of 2019, less than a year into the marriage, I found out she was cheating with a co-worker. I came across a WhatsApp message by accident. That was all it took. One strange notification, one off feeling, and then I went through the chat and saw enough to understand that it had been going on for months. I confronted her. At first, she denied anything physical. Then I showed her the messages. Then the story changed. That affair nearly broke us. But somehow we stayed together. We fought through it, or at least I told myself we did. Later we had a child who is 6 now, and over time I let myself believe the worst was behind us. I thought she had changed. I thought we had paid the price already. I was wrong. When someone cheats and you stay, life does not just go back to normal. People say time heals, but that is only partly true. Time softens things. Time makes the sharp edges less sharp, but it does not erase what you learned about the other person, and it does not give you back the version of trust you had before. It gives you a new version, a weaker one. For years, I tried to live inside that weaker version and call it peace. Maya knew what the first affair had done to me. She saw the anger, the shame, the confusion. She saw what it was like to sit across from someone you love and realize they were living a second life inside the first one. And to her credit, at least on the surface, she seemed remorseful back then. She cried. She apologized. She said it had gone too far and that she had been stupid. She said she wanted our marriage, our future, our family. I wanted badly to believe that. So I did. We built a life on top of damaged ground. We had our child. We learned the little habits of raising a family, school schedules, grocery runs, work stress, doctor visits, bills. The kind of ordinary life that can make you think maybe the past really is the past. But is it ever really the past when the person who caused the damage is the same person asking you to trust them again? I want you to remember this moment. After betrayal, you become very good at talking yourself out of what you feel. A late reply becomes nothing. A hidden screen becomes privacy. A strange silence becomes stress from work. You don't do it because you're foolish. You do it because you are tired. And I was tired. Then a few days before all of this happened, my sister confessed that she had cheated on her husband. That hit me harder than I expected. I was disgusted, yes, but more than that, I was hurt. I kept thinking about her husband, about their kids, about how selfish a person has to be to set a fire and then act surprised that the whole house smells like smoke. I was genuinely upset. I remember sitting with Maya and telling her everything. I was in tears. I am not ashamed to say that. I told her how messed up it was, how much it hurt me, and how I was worried most of all about the children. I asked her not to tell anyone. I was very clear about that. This was private. This was sensitive. My sister had said the affair was over. I did not want gossip. I did not want more damage. I did not want innocent people caught in the blast. Maya listened. She comforted me. She acted like she understood. And at the time, I had no idea what this meant. Because just a few days later, I happened to see a WhatsApp notification on her phone from the exact same man my sister had been involved with. The person I hated most in that moment. At first I honestly thought maybe I was mistaken. Maybe it was a similar name. Maybe there was some innocent reason. Maybe it had to do with clearing up details about my sister's situation. That's how the mind works when it doesn't want to accept what is right in front of it. Still, something about it felt wrong. Not just the name, the timing, the secrecy, the fact that this man should never have been part of my wife's private messages in the first place. Later I checked her phone. The chat was gone, deleted. And that was when the old feeling came back. Not anger yet, not even full certainty, just that cold sick suspicion that arrives before the truth does. Why delete it if it was nothing? I didn't confront her right away. After the first affair years earlier, I had learned something ugly but useful. If you react too quickly, the truth disappears. People clean up, messages vanish, stories get adjusted. Suddenly you are arguing with a version of events that has already been edited. So I stayed quiet. For 2 days I watched. I noticed she was online on WhatsApp all the time during work hours, not once or twice, constantly. And yet she was barely messaging me. If I reached out, replies were dry, delayed, practical. But that green online status kept showing up. I watched how protective she had become of her phone. Not in some casual way, in a deliberate way. The kind of protectiveness that makes even normal movements look guilty. If I entered the room, the screen changed. If her phone buzzed, she checked it instantly. If she set it down, it was never far from her hand. What was I supposed to think? By the third day, I was done guessing. I linked her WhatsApp to my laptop. Even writing that now makes me feel strange because I know what it sounds like. But I also know what I had already lived through, and I know what deleted chats mean in a marriage that has already survived one affair. The moment she left the house, she came online, and what I found next changed everything. The messages started immediately. Not careful, not formal, not innocent, immediate intimacy. The kind that tells you this did not start yesterday. They had pet names for each other. There were "love you" messages. She told him she was possessive. She told him she hated that he was in the same house as his wife and that she could not bear it. I remember reading that line and just staring at the screen because there is something especially ugly about reading your own wife complain that another man still has to share a roof with his spouse. It was like I had stepped outside my life and was watching a stranger's marriage collapse. I kept scrolling. Every line made it worse. Not because I was finding something dramatic every second, but because the tone itself was enough, familiar, warm, secretive, invested. This was not two people casually talking. This was emotional cheating at the very least, and I did not believe for one second that I was seeing the full picture. My hands were shaking. I felt that same mix of emotions I had felt back in 2019, but this time there was something even darker under it. Back then I could still tell myself, maybe she had made one terrible mistake. Maybe she had fallen into something and pulled herself out. Maybe she was weak, confused, damaged, whatever excuse people use when they are trying to save a marriage. But twice, with this much lying, after knowing exactly what the first affair had done to me, I want you to remember this moment. The second betrayal is different from the first. The first one breaks your heart. The second one attacks your mind. Because now you have to face the possibility that this is not bad luck or a rough patch or one lapse in judgment. This may just be who they are. And that realization is hard to survive with your dignity intact. What made this even worse was the way it connected to my sister's confession. I had trusted Maya with something painful and private. I had cried in front of her. I had asked her not to repeat it because children were involved, and instead of treating that trust with care, she used that exact situation to create an opening with this man. That part disgusted me more than the flirting. She later claimed she only contacted him because she wanted the truth about my sister's affair, that she had called him to her office, asked questions, and then somehow things just became normal between them. Normal, since when do secret chats, pet names, and love you become normal? At the time I had no idea what this meant. Had they met in private? Was there something physical? Had this been going on longer than I could see? Had she deleted the worst of it already? Was I only looking at the small part that survived because she had gotten careless? Those questions started eating through me fast, and I knew I was reaching the point where silence was no longer possible. I did one thing before confronting her. I took photos of the conversation. Then I sent them to his wife. Yes, the wife of the man she was talking to. The woman who lived in the same building as us. The woman sitting right above or below all of us, living her normal life while this was happening behind her back. She was shocked. I do not know what else to say about that part. She was shocked, and I cannot blame her. Nobody expects to receive proof like that out of nowhere. Then I sent the same screenshots to Maya. She replied fast. Too fast. Suddenly it was all a misunderstanding. Suddenly it was just friendship. Suddenly she only wanted to know the full truth about my sister's affair, so she had reached out to him, spoken to him twice on the phone, and met him at her office just to understand what had happened. I read that and felt nothing but contempt. I said, friendship. She tried again. She said they had said, love you, only as friends. She said there was nothing physical. She said I had not been giving her enough attention. She said I did not listen to her office problems. She said she felt unloved, short sentences, quick excuses, one after another. I asked her one thing. If this was innocent, why did you delete the chat? She had no good answer. Then I asked, why him, out of all people? Why the exact man connected to the secret I trusted you with? Again, no real answer, just more talking, more smoke. And what I found next changed everything. Not on the phone, in myself. Because as she kept explaining, I realized I no longer cared which version of the lie she wanted me to accept. Whether it was emotional only, whether it was physical, whether it was 2 calls or 20, whether they met once or more, I could feel my mind stepping away from the details and landing on something simpler. She was dishonest, again, and I was not going to lose my sanity trying to squeeze honesty out of someone who kept choosing deceit. I told her exactly that. I said I was ashamed to call her my wife in that moment. I said I did not believe I had the full truth. I said she was hiding a lot more than she admitted, and I was done arguing over scraps of confession. She cried. She said I was the only one she loved, but love is very cheap when it keeps arriving after betrayal. I am still processing it, even now. That is the honest part people do not always say out loud. There is no clean ending when betrayal happens inside a marriage with a child, a history, and years already invested. There is just shock first, then anger, then exhaustion, then questions that repeat so often they start to sound like background noise. Was any of it real? Was she ever honest? Was the first affair really the first, or just the first one I found? And then there is the most dangerous question of all. Was it my fault somehow? She wanted me to believe that my lack of attention pushed her toward this. That if I had listened more, noticed more, given more, this would not have happened. But I do not accept that. Marriage can have problems. People can feel lonely. People can feel neglected. Adults can ask for help, speak clearly, demand change, argue, leave if they must. What they do not get to do is betray you in secret and then hand you part of the blame like it is something you are supposed to carry for them. That part is theirs. I want you to remember this moment. One of the ugliest things a cheater does is make you question your own reality. Not just what happened, but what you deserve, what counts as disrespect, and whether your pain is somehow too much. If you are not careful, you start defending yourself against the wound they created. I am trying not to do that. This betrayal goes beyond what I imagined she was capable of. Not only because it happened again, but because of how it began. I trusted her with a painful family secret, and somehow that became the path to another affair. Even now I struggle to put that into words. It feels calculated. Even if she claims it was not, I do not know yet what happens next in my marriage. I know what I feel right now, and right now I feel disgust, grief, and a very deep kind of disappointment. The kind that does not shout, the kind that just sits in your chest and changes the way you look at someone forever. What I do know is this: I am done chasing the full truth from a person who has already shown me twice what honesty means to her. At some point, the missing details stop mattering more than the pattern itself, and the pattern is betrayal. Sometimes the real heartbreak is not that someone lied to you, but that they kept lying after they already knew what the first lie had cost. Let me know in the comments, did they deserve it, or did this go too far? And if you've been through something similar, share your story below.